Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another presentation on day two of the Culturally Competent Conversations for Equity and Belongingness Summit, or the C3EB Summit. And, our theme today has been sort of government, governance, civic engagement, and building a more informed citizenry. And so this particular presentation and this particular speaker that I'm, about to introduce to all of you and shine the spotlight on. Now, you may think that this may not have anything to do with the rest of our theme today, because this has everything to do with marketing. But if you think about it, marketing is a very critical piece of how our government, governance, civic engagement, campaigning, all of those are communicating these policies and these ideas to the masses, really. And so this speaker that I'm about to introduce you all to, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, she is the expert at influencing masses online, especially on LinkedIn, which is traditionally a platform that is not known for, it's supposed to be super professional and sort of aloof, but we're seeing more and more of, regular human conversations and interactions happening, and people are not sure what to do about that on LinkedIn, which is why this is an extremely timely presentation and an important presentation for you to understand how to communicate your thoughts and ideas effectively on social media, especially LinkedIn. And this is going to be especially critical for you if you are a small business owner who is also invested in diversity, equity, and inclusion like I am. So this is going to be really powerful. So without further ado, I would love to, introduce all of you on the C3V Summit platform to Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, my personal social media LinkedIn disruptor. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Dr. AJ. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Before I jump off and like let you have the stage, I do want to give people, a quick understanding of who you are, and then just a couple of housekeeping. Notes. We'll start with the housekeeping. Make sure you comment, make sure you ask your questions. This is exactly the space for you to get your questions answered by an expert, and, resolve your issues that way. And then also, thank you so much to our sponsors and partners, because this summit and our future programming really would not be possible without them walking the walk with me toward equity, inclusion, and belongingness. So thank you so much to Essential IT, our web team, Defy the Status Quo Marketing, Zanzibar Enterprises, and Nielsen. And now I'm going to give you guys a formal introduction of Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark. Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark is a digital disruptor and the CEO and founder of Influence Builder. Danielle has been in the digital marketing space for over a decade, producing and hosting over 250 online events, giveaways, and summits, including helping me plan this one out. Her team and her create massively successful streams of client attraction and lead generation in the online space. Influencers and mission based entrepreneurs like me hire her to show them how to disrupt their niche, create impact, influence, and powerful online platforms and multiple income streams in their business.
Yeah.
Her clients reach multiple 6 and 7 figure business income levels quickly and effectively, avoiding dead ends, massive gaps, and instead building strong foundations, online communities, and lasting results for both them and those they serve. And like I said, Danielle helped me really strategize all of, how to go about this summit and, everything about it too, because this is an inaugural summit. So of course I sought her expertise, and I am just so, so thrilled that she agreed to be a speaker and a presenter here on this summit platform. So without further ado, Danielle, welcome once again. Thank you so much for doing this for us, and take it away. Blow it
Oh,
nice.
thank you. Oh gosh, I love it when people say my introduction. They always do much more justice than I can ever do it. So, and I appreciate you too, Dr. AJ. So, hi, you guys. I am so excited to talk to you guys about LinkedIn and how to create influence and impact on LinkedIn. So, I'm going to go ahead and start my nice little timer here so I don't go too long, so we have time for Q&A. And I'm going to go ahead and share my slides with you. So there they are. Okay, here we go. So, welcome. This is the LinkedIn Leveraging for Influence and Disruption training masterclass, what have you. So, because she did such a great job, Dr. AJ, with the housekeeping, I'm going to keep it really quick. We're going to try to do this just in a half an hour. You know, if you guys can really focus in on this, you're going to get a lot of good information. And just be kind and courteous on the IVE chat, which is actually supposed to be live chat. And also with the Q&A, I will do my best to be quick through this and answer any questions at the end. We're here to set you up with success. So, and you're going to get out of these trainings whatever you put in. So if there is some questions that you have that aren't getting answered on the PowerPoint, just ask those. And
Really quick, we don't see your slides.
Oh no, we're not seeing them? Okay, hold on. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's see. That should share now. There we go. All right, guys. So here's my big promise to you. In the next several minutes, you're going to learn the process we use as a company to create influence by utilizing LinkedIn. And here's the what. I'll give you the what we use to make this strategy work, including platforms, apps, content, and extra tips. And also here's the how. So not just the what, we're going to do the how. This is exactly like the steps you need to take with some nice little print screens and showing you guys how you can create impact on LinkedIn. So you guys in? Who's in? Are you guys ready? I'm in. So I'm going to assume everybody has a thumbs up. We're going to get going. All right. So who am I as a business owner? And I say this as, yes, I'm a business owner. I am the CEO of Influence Builder. And I'm a serial entrepreneur with multiple seven figures under my belt. I'm 11 plus years. Actually, I think we cross over the 12-year mark in the digital marketing industry. I'm an international best-selling author, speaker, and I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs. I've helped thousands of them build their online businesses from the ground up. So this is who I also am. I'm also from Northern Maine. I'm a Northern Mainer. They call us maniacs. I guess it's because we tend to drive around really twisty roads really fast. And so we've been nicknamed maniacs. And so that's where I'm from. I'm also a mom. I have three beautiful little girlies who are both beautiful in the outside and the inside. I'm a wife to my husband Eric. I also put on live events as well as online events. Entrepreneur City Live is our event platform. And I am a digital marketer. I'm a total nerd when it comes to digital marketing. It's one of the things that I love researching. I love getting in there and finding what's working and what's not working. And it's all about communication, not just how we're communicating with our computer, but how we're communicating to people through our computers. So that is a big thing for me. I'm a goofball and I'm also a business owner with my own business, and I have an awesome business partner, and that's my business partner down here. So I'm a big time collaborator. So that's a little bit about me and how who, not just what I am, who I do, who I am as a business owner, but who I am as a person. Um, so you know, to get to the level of success I have gotten to with digital marketing, I've done a lot of things right. You know, there's a lot of things that have gone really right. Any of you guys that have businesses, any of you guys that are looking to create businesses, any of you guys that are looking to create an impact online, there's a lot of things that get to go right in order to get to a certain level and keep going through and getting to another level. And part of that process is to do a lot of things wrong. So I would say that I've done more things wrong than I have done right, which is really great because now I get to show you guys the shortcuts and particularly with LinkedIn, I have done so many things wrong. Part of my background that I didn't share with you guys is that I'm an environmental scientist. So everything I do comes from science. So a scientific background, being methodical. That's why so many of my experiments on social media have gone wrong. And I discovered all of these things that can go wrong in the online space the hard way. particularly LinkedIn. So a lot of things gone wrong on LinkedIn. And here's the common denominator that I've discovered with my nice little social media experiments on LinkedIn is that when it comes to the common denominator and all the wrongs when it comes to LinkedIn, here's what they are. They are one, overthinking. A lot of us overthink. Not a good system. So, not having a good system in place for LinkedIn for the lead generation marketing, and content that doesn't wow, content that's boring. And here's the other thing, a lack of emotional intelligence. So, just for this half hour, guys, I want you to forget about everything you think you know about LinkedIn, and that LinkedIn is for professionals. LinkedIn is for our resumes. LinkedIn is for big corporations who are looking to hire people. There's a lot more going on in LinkedIn. There's a lot more socializing going on in LinkedIn than what we know today as, and there's a huge lack of the emotional intelligence. So we have this awesome social media platform and we're not actually treating it as it is, which is a social platform. So today and during this time, forget everything you know. Um, Here's the thing, humans are still humans, regardless of what platform we're on. Social media is meant to be social. Emotional intelligence and soft touch is needed on all platforms, and this is included in LinkedIn. So, this is really what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence and how to create an impact utilizing that. And I love this for the inclusion event because we're really looking at this as including ourselves and who we really are, and in a platform that's not known for that. And it really is shifting in a big way so that we can step up and be who we really are on LinkedIn. And instead we tend to not do that. We tend to miss the mark and we create messaging that's more robotic and complicated, as we're looking at LinkedIn as that type of a system, as that type of a social platform, when it's really growing just as we are. Our platforms are growing with us in terms of emotional intelligence, so we can also be really long-winded on LinkedIn. And by the end of going through all these processes and using LinkedIn, we don't make true connection with our connections. I find this always so interesting on LinkedIn is that we make connections and then we never talk to our people who we're connected with. I've had it happen all the time, and I always reach out and I'm like, hey, do you want to connect or do you want to talk? No, I'm not interested in talking. I'm like, okay, well, we don't have to talk. And then, we just don't talk or we just release a connection, and it can be really frustrating. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are on LinkedIn. How many of the people do you actually know that you're connected with on LinkedIn? Some of you guys may like, I know everybody, and some of you guys may I don't have anybody anyway. And then some others are saying, I don't know anybody who's on my LinkedIn connection yet. I have 10,000 people that I'm connected to. So if any of you guys can relate to any of those, then you're in good company. You're in good company. Some of the feedback I'm getting on LinkedIn is I don't know how to use it, or there's nobody good on LinkedIn, or LinkedIn is just for resumes, or LinkedIn doesn't isn't really a great place to find clients. LinkedIn is not a great place to get jobs. All of these things, and really, LinkedIn is a phenomenal platform. It's a phenomenal platform to make connections and to be more connected, and it's different. So, what do we need to do to leverage LinkedIn and create an impact? Here's what we use as a company, guys. So, I'm going to start from the very beginning of where we need to go when it comes to LinkedIn. A lot of times we just skip over all of these things, but if we actually go back to this, we're going to see where the emotional intelligence comes to play. So the first thing is that we really hone in our mission statement. So even if you are an entrepreneur or you are a job seeker or you are a business, a company, you still want to start with that mission statement. The next thing is business core values. So I teach businesses and I am a business, so I say business core values. We could just say core values. So your personal core values, if you're there as a job seeker, if you're there as an independent solopreneur, if you're there as a one person, one man show as a small business owner. So either way, we're going to look at core values. The other thing is an ideal client playbook. Again, this could be changed up for those of you that are job seekers. It could be not an ideal client playbook, it could be an ideal company that you're looking to work with. um, the next thing is a polarizing point of view. And I usually say polarizing without pointing the finger. Um, we can point the finger. I just teach a different way so that we're really coming from a different place of building this platform and building this impact. A system for emotional intelligence. Yes, there's a system for it. I know it sounds counterintuitive when we say system and emotional or emotional intelligence, but actually the two um, they marinate beautifully together. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and then a plan for impacting more people on a deeper level. That's where I'll spend most of my time is the plan for impacting more people. There's one thing in particular I will focus on, but I'm going to make sure I get through everything. So your mission statement. I usually tell people, I'm like, it's my company's mission to do, and then what? What is it that you're doing? Why are you doing it? How are you doing it? And for who? So it's really basic. We go, if it's not your company's, if it's your mission statement, you want to know the what, the why, the how, and for who. So we start with that. We're going to start from the very beginning. And the reasons why we do that is so that we can understand core values. So once we know the mission that we have, we want to talk about the why that makes you cry. If you guys haven't heard it, it's a really common saying is that we have the why that makes you cry. Something that you're so engrossed in that it just makes you want to cry. And here are some ways to think about your core values is what is it that you see going on in the world you'd like to shift? What are some of the things that you're seeing? What's your part in that shift? What are some of the things that come like, in the digital marketing space? I I have experienced a lot. I've experienced a lot of this is our system. This is the only way to do things. And my perspective is that there's a multitude of doing things. There's never a wrong answer. There's always answers and there's always solutions. So that's a really great example of what I'm seeing in my specific part of the world, which is digital marketing. And kind of what's my part in shifting it. And with digital marketing, because we're working with multiple platforms and we're working with multiple personalities and we're communicating with multiple personalities, I really believe that nothing we do in digital marketing needs to be cookie cutter and something that everybody else does. It has to be our own and we get to make it our own. So that's a shift that I see that's needed. And my part in it is showing people how they can create their own little space within the digital marketing world, no matter what their business is or what they're doing in the world. So, and then how does it relate to what's true to you? So all of this and how it relates is that, hey, I'm a little bit of a rebel. I don't like doing things the same way that everybody else does because I've seen so many wonderful outcomes with business owners and people when they try things their way and when they follow their heart and when they really step into who they are and what they bring to the world. So it relates to me and how I see things, and that's a big core value of mine is doing things differently and kind of coming from that place of there's always a solution, there's always a different way of looking at things. So, and then the other part of the core values is we know what we want, we need to know what we don't want. So what is it that you're not willing to do? So part of having really strong core values, whether it's for your business or for yourself, is knowing what you're not willing to do. So if integrity is big for you, and that's a core value, then not being in integrity is something you absolutely can't do. If freedom is something that's really important to you, then being in a cubicle, for example, where you're not free to do what you want may not work for you. So we sometimes with our core values, we have to go to the opposite end of the spectrum of what we don't want in order to understand what we truly want. So I like to tell people, I'm like, we need to go to both ends. If you can't get to what you want, let's go to what you don't want, and then we can reverse back. So that's the core values. And then for my business owners there, an ideal client playbook. This could be again, if you don't have an ideal client because you're not running a business, but you're a job seeker on LinkedIn, it could be who do you serve best? This could be an individual, this could be a company, this could be a small business, this could be a group of people. Who do you serve best? And some of the ways to really dig into this is what is their current pain? We want to know what their current pain. We have a lot of different pain points now, especially in this area of the year where we're still in COVID-19. Let's face it, we're still in quarantine of some sorts. And the current pain that we have now is different than what the pain was back in February. So we want to know what the current pain is. We also want to know what the past pain is of our ideal client or the company we're trying to work for. And also we want to understand what are their motivations. So motivations are, what is it that we can assess we can assess what they're doing with behaviors, but what are the reasons behind it? So what are the reasons behind behaviors when it comes to your ideal clients? A great example is in digital marketing, especially for our company. We have behaviors, meaning that our clients are doing a lot of social media work, and then we want to understand, and they're just not loving all the social media work. They're on multiple platforms, and the motivations underneath why they're doing this is that, well, they want to make money, they want to give a go with their business. And underneath that part of the motivation is like, why do they want to do that? Why do they want to build a business, and why do they want to build it online? And underneath that, we come to their core values, which is, well, they want some freedom in their life. They want to build something that's their own. They want to create a legacy that they can pass off to their children. So those are kind of the motivations underneath it. And then how are they looking for solutions? So, with an ideal client playbook or a company, we want to understand how they're looking for solutions, and we also want to know where they're looking for solutions. So, believe it or not, people are looking for solutions every day to what their pain points are. People are Googling information. They're going to YouTube. They're getting, the how-to information from YouTube or from Google. They're going to social media platforms. They're looking for support on social media platforms. All of these ideas, they're also doing that on LinkedIn. It's not just on Google or Facebook or Instagram. LinkedIn actually has a lot of different solutions that people are coming for. So we want to understand how they are looking for solutions, meaning, are they going to it? And most people are going online for solutions right now. And then where are they looking for those solutions? So that's the ideal client playbook. And then the next is, like, we want to talk about, we want to take it that next level, which is a polarizing point of view. And this is a great play from the core values. So, with a polarizing point of view, and sometimes this will really help us get to that why that makes us cry, is having a different view of things. So, what is it that you don't like seeing when it comes to your area of influence? And keep in mind that your area of influence it could be anything. It could be what you don't like seeing happening with your kids' school right now. That's an area of influence because you influence your kids and what they do for school. It could be your area of influence is your business, and who you support every day, who you serve every day. So we want to understand first, what is it that you don't like seeing when it comes to that? What makes you mad? This is the time where it's a great time to rant. What is it that in this area that you play in that makes you angry? And what keeps you up at night in frustration? So people will say, what is it that keeps you up at night? What's the pain point? And I like to look at the polarizing point of view in a different way. Like, what is it that keeps you up at night, that keeps you frustrated? What is it that's really just irritating you to the point where you're like, I can't even sleep. I'm just so disgusted or frustrated, or a solution just isn't presenting itself, and until it does, I can't get any sleep. And then we go to that place of what we don't like seeing. And then we go to the place of, well, how could I shift this? What's my part in this? What is it that feels good, and how can I show up? And then the next question is how does this relate to those you serve best? So yes, we can shift things, and yes, we can relate it back to those we serve best. So if I'm going to go through my whole process when it comes to a polarizing point of view, is that I feel like the digital marketing space is too cookie cutter. I feel like the coaching space is too cookie cutter. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, and no one's getting anywhere, and everyone's spinning their wheels, and it's really, really boring. It's really boring. And what keeps me up at night and what keeps me frustrated within my industry is that not only is it boring, but people are really, businesses aren't making it. Entrepreneurs aren't making it, and they're super talented. They just haven't tapped into that talent. They haven't tapped into their why that makes them cry, and they haven't been putting themselves out there because they don't feel safe to. So that's really frustrating, in that we don't have a place in the online space for people to safely or feel safe in, and they just don't feel safe in themselves. So how can this shift? How can this shift is that, well, one thing is we can talk about it. We can have conversations about it. I can start conversations. And how does that relate to those that I serve best? Well, I really serve people who are mission based. So, giving myself permission to show up and to say what frustrates me, or to say that, hey, I think that funnels are not even working anymore, and that everybody's too cookie cutter, and what the world really needs is our individual and unique talents. And then those people that are feeling like they have those talents and they just don't know how to show up, this is how I'm relating it back to them and serving them. So really polarizing points of view that nobody's talking about, and then showing up and serving those people that I serve best by giving permission. So that's a kind of an interesting spin on the polarizing point of view. So the next thing on LinkedIn that people really need is a system for emotional intelligence. And this is all about communication. So on LinkedIn, people just don't know what to say. They don't know who to reach out to. Or in the past, they've reached out to people and they've gotten, you know, the online slamming of the door in the face, like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you. It sounds like you're just selling me," or "Why do you want to communicate with me?" And this is where it's really actually easy to flip the script. So when you know how to, when you can look at this from more of a bird's eye view when it comes to communication. So on LinkedIn, the tonality in your writing is everything. It really is. And a lot of times people are like, I don't even know how to create tone in what I'm writing. And it's actually like you can actually change the tone in what you're writing by simply smiling while you're typing. It's really interesting how quickly. So if you just say there and smile, and you can even imagine something that makes you happy when you're writing out something, then the tonality of what you're communicating through your writing changes. So the other thing is how do you want to sound? Like the first thing is identification. How do you actually want to sound to others? When you're typing to them, do you want to sound open? Do you want to sound intellectual? Do you want to sound like a team player and collaborative? Do you want to sound happy? Do you want to sound like you're very grounded in who you are and that you're an expert? So first thing is identifying how do you want to sound to people. And then once you do that, create a list of words that emanate how you want to sound to those that receive the messages. So if you want to sound intelligent, you write words that you can communicate that will showcase intelligence. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. Sometimes I really love stats. When I'm looking, I'm like, I want to sound like an expert. So I'm going to have some stats in place that are perfect for those that I serve best, and helping them move the next step. The other thing you guys can do is you want to tie in your business core values and your mission statement with your communications in a very subtle way. So it doesn't even have to be like cut and paste of my core values and mission statement. It's just tying it in. So one of the things that I do, and I'll show you guys an example, is that I really like to communicate first and then jump on the phone. It makes more sense. It's a little more freedom for us to select in or select out both ends of the party. So that's kind of something that I like to tell everyone. Like, you want to really understand your core values and your mission statement and what it is you're trying to do, because you're gonna bring that into your communication. So here's a really good example. When we're on LinkedIn, let's just say that we connect with somebody new. We connect with somebody that we haven't connected with before, or that we don't know, or that we have maybe a couple mutual connections. And I'll always tell them, I'll say, I'm like, hey, listen, before we even talk about jumping on the phone, I just want to get to know you a little bit more. And I understand that sometimes it's hard to go first, and I don't want to put you on the spot. So tell me more about you. And if you would rather, I'll go first. 50% of the time people say, you go first, Danielle. So I'll start with an example communication where I'm like, awesome. Well, I love going first because I'm the middle child, and I never got to go first growing up. So I'll start it with a joke. I'll start it with something that's authentic to me. I'm like, ooh, I get to go first. I'm the middle. I always have to share the space. And that usually gets a really good response from people, especially if they're a middle child. They're like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. I'll also tell them who I am, not what I do, but who I am. So I'm a mom of three girlies and a fur mom to four girl cats. So we have a lot of females in the house, which is true. For my business, I've been lovingly nicknamed by my clients and colleagues a digital disruptor. And the reason for that is I'd like to do things differently in the online space. And I'm all about finding people's USPs, their unique selling propositions, and building a business beyond cookie cutter that is solution focused. And I help agency owners, entrepreneurs, consultants, and coaches to build a business that works for them, not the other way around. And I get tired of talking about myself and I'm really looking forward to learning more about you. So let's go. And so you guys can see a lot of different things that I've brought into this. I brought in who I am. I brought in something funny, like, oh, I never get to go first because I'm the middle child. So something relatable. I've also told them, what I do, which is I do digital marketing. I'm a disruptor. And the reasons I do that is the polarizing topic, which I think that digital marketing is really cookie cutter. And that's not what I like to do. And also who I help. And please tell, I'm so done talking about myself. Let's talk to you. So it's really a conversation. And this would actually be something that I would say to somebody in person. That's the other thing. If I was talking to somebody face to face in a networking opportunity, in a networking event, this is something that I would say to them. And a lot of times we overthink what we need to say in LinkedIn because we're just not feeling like we can be ourselves. And I'm telling you that when you step out and you are yourself and you share about yourself, your personal stuff, and what you do, then and why you do it, you're really going to see the conversation shift in LinkedIn. So that's my example. It's worked beautifully. I've met some amazing people on LinkedIn, and they are so thrilled when I talk to them as if I was a human. So now that we've kind of gotten through the emotional intelligence piece and how to show up and brought it full circle around, let's do a quick plan for impact. And just so you guys know that LinkedIn is a place for content. It's a content machine. This is a wonderful place where if you like to write, if you have an expertise, and LinkedIn's a platform for you. It's also its own search engine. And just taking a sip of water. So LinkedIn has grown substantially since March. It was at 550. It was at 550. I think it was million. Yes, million. 550 million at the beginning of the year. Now it's well over 750, if not into 800 million. So you can see how much it's grown since COVID has hit, and content is king. So we have all these people coming here, and now we have content that we can put out there. So it's also another thing I want to tell you guys, a really great way to create impact is to start having LinkedIn events and start doing those online master classes and everything. And I'll show you guys real quick how to do that because I want to make sure I'm giving you something to implement. But where you guys get to play on LinkedIn, some really great places are LinkedIn Lives. You do have to get permission from LinkedIn to do those, but you can go ahead and Google search LinkedIn Live and see how you can start doing live stream. Go through the application process and see if you can do that. You can also write articles. So the thing with LinkedIn is that they want you to write articles specifically for the platform that you haven't written yet. You can also do posts. So I think it's up to 1,200 words on your post. You can do LinkedIn events, which I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit more. And then you can also expand your connection base. So whereas LinkedIn wasn't the go-to social media platform, even a couple of years ago, now it's becoming something where the professionals are coming and they're having conversations on LinkedIn, and people are using it for what it's really meant for too, which is the content piece. So you can really expand your connection base, and there's a lot less of the limiters on LinkedIn as there are in some other social media platforms. So for example, you can have, I think, up to 30,000, and I think there's a special consideration there with LinkedIn with your connection versus with Facebook, everybody has to have a personal profile and you have to stop at 5,000. So you can see just within that, you actually can expand your connection base much further than you can on some of the other social media platforms. So LinkedIn events. They're really easy to do. This is your dashboard. If you want to create an event, which I highly recommend if you're trying to create impact and you're trying to, communicate with your connections even further, and you want to hit that plus sign at the bottom where there's events, and you go into this is what pops up. You can create an event, you hit this click screen, you can put a cover photo in the back. So put a cover photo, whatever event you're trying to put up there. If you guys haven't yet learned how to create cover photos, then canva.com is a wonderful place to start. It's free. You can sign up and you can actually search out LinkedIn event covers and find the pixels and the size, the custom dimensions for that. Put those in there. For the next click, you want to click here. You can put a logo photo. You can put a photo of yourself, and then you go through the process of the event name and all of that. And then as we scroll down, you also have a ticketing website. So if you're doing a live, then a great way to do a ticketing website is to just create a webinar on Zoom. You guys can also use Eventbrite. Eventbrite has really beefed up their platform since COVID hit to bring more online live events, and it's you can put that ticketing website in there. You just have to choose one, and then we want to go move forward. Once you've created it, and I'm a little over my time, I'll have to make it fast after this. Then this is what it looks like once you've put up a LinkedIn event, and then you simply go to invite connections. You can pick and choose your connections. Within LinkedIn, you can invite them all, or you can just invite a few that you think would really enjoy the event you're trying to put together for them. I do know that there is a limit to how many invites you can send out a day, which is pretty substantial. It's 2,500 people per day. For those of you who have a lot of connections, that may be something like, oh crap, I guess I better start promoting this a few days out. Um, you're just going to need to give yourself some more time if you're going to go past the 2,500 limit. For those of you that haven't quite got there, you can probably invite everybody you need to within one sitting, which is that one, just hitting the invite connections. So, who do you invite? And remember, guys, we're trying to create massive impact when it comes to LinkedIn. You want to invite more than just your LinkedIn connections. You want to go to the Eventbrite platform if you don't have any other ticketing platform, or if you don't have Zoom webinar, then Eventbrite's a great platform to create a sign up form, a ticketing one. The tickets can be no cost to anybody. The other thing with Eventbrite is that you can actually upload your emails. You can upload anyone that you have in your email list and send them out an email to go ahead and attend this event. You can put that ticketing website right in the LinkedIn event. Of course, LinkedIn, you want to invite all your connections there. And then the other thing is that when you utilize Eventbrite or even LinkedIn, you can create Facebook events. So I love to, with digital marketing, the rule of thumb is that you got to hit people on multiple platforms. Yes, we're talking about LinkedIn, but take it that next step of impact and bring people over to your LinkedIn platform. So go on your other social media sites. Facebook events is great. You can bring that over too, and you keep inviting people and bring them right over to your LinkedIn platform. So what that does is that actually creates more impact. It gets you more connections that you may have not have had on LinkedIn by getting them from Facebook. Eventbrite, you're bringing your email subscribers to your LinkedIn profile, and it just expands from there. So, and of course, it gets you more people onto your LinkedIn events. It's a wonderful way to create that. So, what are some of the other things you need to know when utilizing LinkedIn events and creating that impact is that your follow up before the event is where the attendings really come in. So if you've created a wonderful masterclass, it's going to be live. You want to go ahead and market and launch the event within 4 days. Give a day and a half to follow up with your interest. So anyone who's interested in your LinkedIn connections, you want to go ahead and send them a message. Go ahead and register. Just a reminder, we're starting soon. And make sure you're connecting with attendees via the platforms you're choosing. So if you are putting out other platforms like Facebook events, for example, and you have people that are interested, you want to go ahead and connect with them before the start of your LinkedIn event. And don't worry about sending out too many reminders. That's the other thing. Everyone's like, oh, I sent out a reminder. I'm like, send out as many as possible because people are busy. And if it comes to social media and email, people are inundated. They need the multiple reminders. I have had very few people say you send too many reminders, and I've had a lot more people say thank you for so many reminders. I would have missed this and I didn't want to miss this. So keep that in mind, guys, when you're creating these events and doing that. So results, I'm going to go ahead and skip through some of the results we've had because we've done amazing. I'll only show our company results rather than our other clients' results. But whenever we are creating impact on LinkedIn with our LinkedIn events, we have massive results. So the case study, real quick for ours, is last time we ran one, we have 1,200 attendees from LinkedIn, from a LinkedIn event, 1,200 attendees. With our business, we ended up having 40 sales calls from that masterclass, that LinkedIn event, and then 6 figures booked out in additional income for the company. So for Influence Builder. So that's kind of what we're looking at, guys. again, this is a really great case study. This is our own case study. And LinkedIn events, creating that impact not just for yourself and what you're putting out there, but even for your company is a wonderful way to build a thriving business and to create that massive influence and impact utilizing LinkedIn as a platform. So I'm gonna have a lot of other stuff here. This is what I want you guys to keep in mind. So, with emotional intelligence and everything that we're doing with LinkedIn and thinking about it a different way and having those communications, this is how you want people to feel when they come to you on LinkedIn. You had me at hello. So, everything that we're doing on LinkedIn, that's what we want to emanate for them rather than what happens a lot, which is nope, stay away. I got to spray this salesy stuff away from me. So that's kind of where I want to leave you guys. I know we went through a lot of material, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about the emotional intelligence piece on LinkedIn because it's all about the human connection and, bridging the gap between our social media or online with the human experience. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to grab a spot on my calendar. I have 15-minute meet and greets. We can drink coffee, we can chat and see what's going on. You can ask me more in-depth questions on how do I utilize LinkedIn effectively in a way because I haven't had any success, or maybe you just have a couple things that you want some answers on, or maybe you want some help with how to create a LinkedIn event and create that impact. Happy to help. It's just simply bit.ly/DFC meet. So I hope that helps. And we'll come back to this. It was a lot of information.
I know that was so much information, and thank you so much for that, Danielle.
You're welcome.
I did have one question that I
Yeah.
think it's important, and I'd like you to answer it, for the sake of entrepreneurs, especially who are
Mhm.
going to be watching this later. Um, Especially given everything that's been going on in 2020 and
Yeah.
how everything has had to go digital.
Yeah.
There are, and what I'm about to say, I let me preempt it by saying it's going to come off as judgmental to other people, but you and I have had a conversation about this, and I really want
Yeah.
other people to hear your thoughts on this. And I'm talking about that, when all of this has started happening, those small business entrepreneurs who were getting advice to literally become sharks, so to speak, of like
Mhm.
becoming relentless and of like putting out these like crazy sales pitches and all of this kind of stuff, which of course it works for some, but and it doesn't work for the others. But a really critical part of that is becoming visible using emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on, as a disruptor, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on these kind of cookie cutter things that other people are saying in terms of like, you have to increase your prices, you have to like put out x number of sales pitches a day, you have to like, you can't take no for an answer, da 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 da. Like, how do entrepreneurs make sense of all of this,
Mhm.
and stay authentic?
Yeah. So a general rule of thumb, guys, is if you are having a conversation online, anywhere online, it can be social media, it could be chat rooms, it could be anything, blogs. If you wouldn't say that particular thing that you're about to say or write in person, it doesn't belong in the online space. Really general rule is that if you wouldn't say that to somebody, do not write it to them online. And that goes towards multiple things. It could really help social bullying and all that too. So when it comes to these tactics that, and people will call them different, like call it shark or salesy or bro marketing is another one that's coming up a lot in the
Mm,
digital marketing space. What I tell everybody is that I'm really appreciative that there are so many people doing this. Really appreciative that they are doing it because they're showing people what they don't want. And we have to go to the other part of the paradigm in order to know what we do want. So the disruption comes in showing up the way that people know that they would rather have a communication with. So being authentic, being yourself, um, talking to people, understanding them more, showing empathy, showing the emotional intelligence is the disruption right now,
Okay.
if that helps.
Absolutely.
And just keep in mind that you're going to go much further with a client if you come from a place of understanding and listening.
Mhm,
And really, leaders don't talk as much as they listen.
mhm,
They create more of an impact by listening and then responding. They create more of an impact by taking in everything around and then coming to the plate with solutions than they do being the loudest.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I have one more question before we wrap up to flip it from entrepreneurs to
Yeah,
companies,
yeah,
especially after, the heinous murder of Mr. George Floyd and just a couple of days ago with Jacob Blake and of course Sandra Bland and Tamir Rice and Eric Garner and the untold number of Black lives that have been lost.
yeah,
And as a result, but the movement really was catalyzed this year after Mr.
yeah,
George Floyd's murder. What we saw, especially, and again, you and I talked about this, what we saw was this like, companies, a lot of companies didn't even say anything or do anything. And then there were those companies who just put out these memes, blacked
hmm,
out squares or whatever, and
hmm,
didn't really communicate much
yeah,
to their clients or their customers or even their employees on their intentionality
yeah.
toward equity, inclusion, and belongingness. Can you shed some light on why it is critical, especially you being the marketing expert, why is it critical for these companies to really look into intentionally inclusive marketing and
Yeah.
not just be performative, but like walk the freaking walk?
Yeah. Yeah, walk the freaking. So it's really interesting, and I feel from being a business owner and everything that it's also I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything because I've been there. I've been there too. Still there sometimes, to be real. I'm just like, do I say anything? And if we come from that emotional intelligence place, like we're talking about, it's that, whatever if our intentions are to support and to be a light and to really shine on what we're not okay with, instead of being fearful of anything that will come back on us if we do, then we're regardless of what happens, regardless of what the outcome is, it's still going to have some kind of a positive influence. So with companies that aren't saying anything or just checking the box, it may be time to look a little bit deeper in what their culture is and what their values as a company are and where they want to be polarizing and disruptive within what they see is wrong. And a lot of people say, well, check your heart on this. And with companies, I say, check your values, check
Mm,
what it is that you're creating instead of just the bottom line.
mm. I love that. I love that. Because I do I agree with the fact that somehow between the bottom line and the human thing to do, the human thing to do loses out, which is
Yeah.
not how it should be, because tapping into your humanity is actually, it makes for better business because it's the more emotionally intelligent thing to do, and it's also the more conscientious thing to do, and it creates increased customer loyalty, retention, um, all of it. So yeah, and for you, I want to use you as an example to make a last point before we wrap up, and I thank you again. um, it it was, what I really appreciate about you, and what I think a lot of entrepreneurs and companies can learn from you, is when all of this started happening, you were one of the first people to call me. you were one of the first people to call me through all of this. And I still, like, I will never forget this conversation. Your first question was, how are you really doing? Cut the BS. How are you really doing? And your second thing after I told you about exactly how I was doing is, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do, as you know, as me being me. What can I do? What do I say? Where is my voice? Where does it like fit into this, you know? And so that's why I think it's absolutely, incredible that you agreed to be on this summit, because I think it is important that people realize inclusion is about everybody, and that we all have these perspectives to share,
Yeah.
and that these perspectives are valuable, and that we all, just like you, have to be willing to ask that question of, what can I learn? What can I do? Without making assumptions of, well, I know if I just do this and that, it's going to make me look like a good person. So you actually embody that emotional intelligence and that sort of conscientious entrepreneurship, which is something I really appreciate about you. And I think there is definitely a lesson to be learned in what you model with your entire business, because these are the kind of things that we as business owners, small or big, need to take forward with us in moving toward equity, in moving toward belongingness, including ourselves, including other people, and being intentional about it. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think I mean, it's always starts with acknowledgement, and it always starts with us, right? So I started with my inner circle with my clients, and I asked them, how are you doing, like we did, and how can I support? I That's my voice. My voice is how can I support you, and then building you guys up so that more people hear you. Like, that's, to me, that's the best thing that I can do, and the biggest impact I can have right now. And I always look for what is it that I can do right now. And you know, I I really believe that the bottom line, and I hear you when you say the human experience tends to be the second choice to the bottom line, and that the bottom line is going to cave out. It's going to cave in. Either way, if you're not leading from the human experience and the emotional intelligence, the short term may be okay, but down the line, it's not going to be.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great closing thought, that if you're not leading from the human experience, the long term's not going to be okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you so much for all of your insights, Danielle. I appreciate it. I appreciate you tremendously. And for all of our listeners who are tuned in live or watching this later, please drop your comments if you have any questions for Danielle. We are monitoring our chats even past the summit, so we will make sure we get your questions to her and get you her contact information so you can get in touch with her directly. And once again, this would not have been possible without the support of my amazing team, including people unofficially, on the team, like Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark, and of course my official partners and sponsors, Essential IT, our web team, Defy the Status Quo, marketing and content specialist, and Zanzibar Enterprises, and Nielsen, the Nielsen Company. So thank you to all of you for tuning into this. And we have actually Zanzibar Vermilio from Zanzibar Enterprises starting his keynote in just about 10 minutes. So definitely jump on that session. Danielle, this is the one that I was telling you about. I've been waiting for like 6 weeks for this keynote because it's like so powerful. So it's going to be amazing. So definitely join in on that. And we will see you in the next session. Thank you again, Danielle.
Thanks so much, AJ.